USA is the most powerful country in the world today, the largest economy, the most powerful military forces, and the largest number of people suffering from obesity. The United States dollar is the #1 currency worldwide. We are being told this every day. We hear far less about the fact that the United States of America is totally bankrupt. The official national debt of the United States amounts to over $15.5 trillion. Even $1 trillion is a lot. All the gold in the world, mined from ancient times to our present day, adds up to a value of roughly $8 trillion. Besides the national debt, there are many others: personal debts, corporate debts, state debts, and obligations for pensions and medical care programs for inconceivable sums of money. Some experts estimate the total United States debt to be over $100 trillion. After the financial crisis of 2008, the growth of indebtedness has skyrocketed. Every hour, the United States government borrows $168 million. In 2012, the U.S. government plans to borrow almost half of all budget expenditures, $1,600 billion. That kind of debt cannot be paid back. The question of repayment isn't even a matter of discussion. They're merely talking about borrowing less. There are simply two ways of solving the debt issue, either by announcing economic default and refusal of repayment of the debt, or to devalue the dollar through hyperinflation. What will happen if the United States of America is no longer able to borrow money? After a wave of bankruptcies, the world's largest economy will deflate like a burst balloon. American overconsumption, the basis of the global economy, will become a memory. If you have nothing to pay with, nobody will sell you anything. The most powerful army in the world will begin to collapse rapidly. The U.S. Army is a paid mercenary army. What happens when you stop paying mercenaries can be read about in history books. Bands of marauders, former military, will have a competitive advantage over their fellow countrymen. The various super weaponry that the USA is so proud of nowadays has very high manufacturing and maintenance costs and will quickly start to decay without proper financing. A great deal of it will simply be stolen by collectors of scrap metal. Without the inflow of borrowed money, the United States nationhood will begin transforming into a nightmare. Tens of millions of unemployed who have nothing with which to pay their bills. There will be about 50 million retirees with no pensions, plus the sudden loss of all their deposited savings. Medical care will no longer be available to most people, becoming a luxury for the very few. If new loans will not be issued to the general public and the old ones won't be written off, most people will become bankrupted, evicted from their homes, and end up in total poverty and despair. All of this will lead to social disturbance and possible street riots. In the USA, the citizens are very well armed, and they will start shooting. The government will, of course, attempt to try and instill order. There will be a new law declaring a state of emergency that will allow for the seizure of any private property and for the indefinite incarceration of anyone without trial. The already constructed prison camps and huge inventories of plastic coffins will prove useful. However, the chance to bring about order without losing some territory and considerable numbers of the population is next to none. The divided states of America will quickly become a reality. No one will want to understand and forgive the federal government that led the country to its collapse. Every man for himself. The rest of the world will react to the misfortune of the United States collapse without much sympathy, mainly because the horrible economic crisis that will be caused by the downfall of America will affect everybody. Besides, the USA is the most aggressive nation in current history, unleashing the greatest number of wars. The future of the USA is the collapse of an aggressive colossus with feet of clay. All the might and fictitious splendor of the #1 country in the world are based solely on the borrowed dollar. For far too long now, the United States has been living in debt, one it has long needed to repay. And often, debts are not only paid with money.